Thank you, President. My question is for the Minister for Emergency Services. Minister, why is the government consistently failing to meet fuel reduction targets? Last summer's bushfire season was one of the worst we've had for a long time. Following the fires, we had a lot of promises about bushfire recovery. Much of it was pinned on a tourism boom, but this government's COVID restrictions have destroyed any chance of that. While COVID has been disruptive, most bushfire preparedness activities are not high-risk disease transmission vectors. Despite this, we are again hearing news that Victorian authorities have failed to meet performance targets in curbing fuel loads. The Government Inspector-General for Emergency Services, Tony Pearce, criticised this government's fuel management program, saying that it has a lack of measurable objectives and a lack of capability and capacity and capability. The Victorian Auditor-General found that fewer than 43% of its planned priority burns and only 30% of normal priority burns had been fulfilled this year.
Thank you, President. I thank the member for the question. Can I get some clarification whether this is for the Minister for Emergency Services or whether it's actually for Minister D'Ambrosio?
Mr. Quilty, who did you direct your question to?
Minister for Environment is fine. Yeah.
I thank Mr. Quilty for his question, and I will ensure that question is directed to the appropriate minister, and Mr. Quilty receives a response in line with the standing orders, President.
Thank you. Mr. Quilty on a supplementary.
The Victorian Inspector-General for Emergency Services also spoke about the value of Victorian timber workers in assisting with bushfire management. He said the Victorian industry provides an important support capacity to fire management in Victorian forests with a skill set, knowledge base and operational experience in forest landscapes. The Inspector is talking about timber workers whose jobs are being destroyed by this government. Mr. Pearce puts it diplomatically. He says the cessation of native forest harvesting by 2030 poses challenges for the fuel management program and bushfire response capacity across the state. Poses challenges is being kind. The government can't meet even half its fuel load reduction targets now. The government would rather see our native forests burn than allow Victorian forestry workers to sustainably harvest timber. Minister, what additional fuel load reduction has been planned to replace the forest management that is normally undertaken by native timber workers?
Minister Lee, to the Environment.
Thank you, President. I will also make sure that supplementary question from Mr. Quilty is directed to the appropriate minister and ensure that he receives a response in line with the standing orders.